How you doing out there, folks? This is the Invisible Man versus Merrick Bank and the Robot. This is part 7. So in case you missed it, I'm going to go over this again. It's about harassing calls from Merrick Bank to yours truly. Now, I'm hiding behind a disguise, right? Merrick Bank, they hiding behind the auto dollar, or the robot as you might call it. If they want to make these harassing calls, and they really want to make them, because there's a law against all that. Making calls to harass us, the consumer, but they still keep doing it. They want to do it. Now, what they're doing is, the law says that they're allowed to call. A debt collector or a creditor, they're allowed to call us between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Now, I've been saying this a lot, but I'm pretty sure most people might not be aware of that. The Merrick Bank's aware of it because they do call between those hours. The problem with it is they don't just call, once a day or whatever. They might call 4 times, 5 times, 7 times, whatever. However they have it set up. So now I'm trying to go over this because I know to make everybody aware of it as much as I can. About these calls. If you think you're being harassed, chances are you are. Because these creditors and debt collectors use unethical tactics. So I'm going to go over a lot of things. And I've been doing it, but in case you missed these videos, that's why I keep making them, different ones. I say about the same thing, but I might say it in a different way. So if you are experiencing a lot of calls for bills that you might owe, and you don't know what to do, well, don't think that because you owe these people that you don't have no recourse, but you do. So main thing you should do, first of all, if you're feeling harassed, make sure you're writing these calls down. You can take it off your caller ID or your cell phone or whatever, and you should mark the date, the time, the number they used, a comment on one line. And you can just keep track of it. If you see them 1 call a day, this way you'll know after maybe a week or so, you'll know how many calls they're making. Important to have that information. Okay, so now you're having problems like I have problems. A lot of people do. You get credit, and everybody, it's not a perfect world. Things do happen. So say you're in a bind and you can't pay. Well, and you feel, well, look, I owe Merrick Bank or any other bank money, and I can't afford a lawyer because it's going to cost me more than what I owe, but you're wrong. There's attorneys out there that are consumer advocates, and they don't charge you because they want to help us, the consumer. And they deal with certain banks that do this. So I've been using one myself. He's very good. I couldn't get a better attorney, I don't think, anywhere. He's helped me on a lot of accounts already. Now he's working on this one I have with Merrick Bank. Well, I'm going to go back to how this all started. Back in 2018, we were sitting around, me and Marie, and discussing some things. I went to get the mail. I came back. I gave her a letter for her, and I kept my mail. She opened it. Her lack of interest was at an all-time low at this time. Mine wasn't that good either, because nothing's really going on for us, Just getting by, Okay, so she opened it up, and she's looking it over. I noticed her personality looks like it's going to change. I could tell she's got like a smile on her face, and she said, "Oh, Frankie. Merrick Bank wants to give me $600. I said, oh, that sounds good, Marie. You know, I've been paying our bills for over 8 years on time. I said, okay. She said, you want to look it over? I don't know what this means. Double the credit line? I said, let me look it over. And it said, we make 7 on-time payments. Then they'll double the credit line. That means you'll get another $600. She said, oh, $600 more? That's $1,200. Then if we pay another 7 payments, do I get another $600? I say, no, Marie, you don't. That would be triple the credit line. She said, okay, I don't care. I want it. I want it. Okay, so she says, the paper to fill out? I said, no, they're paperless now with this. So you either got to do it by phone or on the internet. So I don't want to do it by phone. I might mess up. I might say something wrong. You know, I get excited. Okay, we'll do it on the computer. So I said, come on over. Let's sit down over here at the table. I set it all up, and I said, you ready? Oh, yeah, she was anxious to do it now. Excited. I said, okay, Marie, this is it. I want to set it up. Now, there's the keyboard. She said, oh, I know how to type. Well, now she knows how to type on the computer, but before she wasn't interested. Okay, so I set it all up, and I put the cursor, and I told her, type in your name. I'll set it up. I'll tell you when to type. So I went through the whole application. We got down to authorized user, and she said, oh, I know what to type in. Your name. So she types in my name for that, because we share all the accounts together, so that was no problem. Okay, so we got down to the bottom of it, and I'm pretty sure it said like a disclosure or something. It says you must give permission for them to call you to service your account using an auto dollar on the cell phone, and then you'll leave text messages. And I said, do you agree? She said, well, do I have to agree? I said, yeah, you have to. If you don't agree, they're not going to give you the account. So she said, well, okay, I want the account. She said, but I don't think that's right. They give you an account. If you don't agree for them to call you, they're going to, you know, rescind the offer. I said, well, that's the way it is. She said, okay. She checked it, and that was it, and hit submit. So it went through, it processed, and got an email, and it said that we'll get the cards in 7 to 10 business days. So I said, Marie, it's going to take about 10 days, 10 business days. So she said, okay, well, I can't wait. I said, but in the meantime, I'm going to start telling you, you know, what you have to do. You want to order things over the phone, it's fine. Just make sure that you don't give out your personal information. Make sure of that, you know, because, you know, you don't have to. You just got to give the credit card number, you know, and the expiration date, and the security number on the back of the card. So I explained all that to you. You can order. Keep track of what you order. Don't be ordering, like, only do a one-time payment. Don't do multiple payments, because you might not like the item, and you're going to have a hard time changing that. And make sure you let me know everything you order. So I went over this, you know, a few days. I kept asking her, and she kept, you know, giving me the right answers. I said, what are you doing? She kept telling me. So finally, the mail came, and the cards were there, both of them. You could tell. I said, here you are, Marie. You want to open it up? And she opened it up. And oh, the 2 cards, because she had picked a design. I didn't care. I told her, whatever design you want to pick. So there was a card for you, Frankie, and a card for me. Oh, they're beautiful. It's got the eagle, you know, with the flag in the background and all. So I said, oh, great. So here's yours, and there's mine. I said, you should sign the back of it. I'll sign the back of mine. Keep it in a safe place. And remember, $600. Now, we don't want to use that up at one time, because I'm going to keep paying every month. You know, when the 7 payments are up, you know, you're going to get another $600. So we may as well use it. I'm going to be using it to pay some bills. And you can order what you want. Keep it within, you know, not too much at one time. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. So I said, you know, make sure now what I told you. Okay, let's see here. This is one of the cards. See it? Merrick Bank. It's got her name on it. See the account number? Expiration date, June of 2023. Now, both cards look the same. Because they're the same account and all. Okay, so you see that? Okay. Now, I also got the same card. You know, with my name. Let me see if I can show it now. See it? That was pretty good, huh? The way I did that, huh? Now, my name is on it. I mean, this is very important right now. There it is. See it? Same thing. Merrick Bank. Account number. And my name and expiration. It's exactly the same. These two cards. See, with the eagle and all that? Let me take that away. So it's very important because now that Merrick Bank is calling about this account, because Marie passed away, and when she did, you know, this was after months after we got all the double the credit line and all. She got sick, went in a nursing home for a few months and all, and then passed away. So I kept paying Merrick Bank. All the other accounts I didn't. I got a lawyer. But when I was saying about a consumer advocate attorney. So he took care of all the accounts. He put in, litigation and all. He got them to stop calling and also everything. I pretty much settled up with him. But I still kept paying this Merrick Bank. Because I figured, well, I can still use it. I have a card. Since I have a card, I didn't do nothing. I kept using it. But then got to a point where I said, look, I can't pay this anymore. I just can't. It's getting too much. Okay, so the balance was, under the limit and everything. It wasn't, I kept the account good, So finally, I stopped paying. So after about a month, I got the statement. It didn't say too much past due, and, if you don't pay, we'll send it to collection or something. It didn't say too much. So all of a sudden, in November of 2019, the call started. As soon as I saw it on the landline, Merrick Bank, I knew right away what it was for, Okay, let me write it down. Start keeping track of the calls. They called on the cell phone, too. Remember this permission thing? Remember? That Marie checked that? Because they don't know she's deceased when they were calling. So they're calling for her. But the phone numbers are in my name. Okay, so altogether, I waited a couple weeks and I decided I better contact a lawyer. When you have a lawyer like that, it's good. I already had him. So I contacted him. I told him the information, fine, I deal with Merrick Bank, no problem. Send me the phone logs for both phone numbers, by email. And he sent me back a contract to sign, so I can put in the complaint against Merrick Bank. Okay, so all that was done, and the call stopped. As soon as he did the litigation, the call stopped, and I guess it was only, let's see, the cell phone stopped first, and 2 days later, the landline. So that was it. I said, okay, let him work on it. So what happened is, I think, I put the litigation in. Regardless, it doesn't matter who like I said, it didn't matter who put it in. The accounts, Marie's the card holder. But since the lawyer is in my name against Merrick Bank, but if they check, I'm on the account. That's an authorized user. So I'm allowed to put litigation. If it wasn't the case, he would have told me that it couldn't be done. But it can be because by me paying, I kept the account open. The account was valid. Plus, I have a card in my name with the same account number. You saw I showed you both cards. And both cards do have the same number. Some banks we had, the authorized user might have a different number. But it was for the same account. It was so you could track the purchases. But not this one. You couldn't tell with those cards. Like if I used a card in my name, you couldn't tell if I was the authorized user or I'm the card holder. You couldn't tell the difference. So, okay, so that was all done. And what do you think happens? January 2nd, 2020. The phone rings. Merrick Bank. I said, uh-oh. I wasn't sure. I said to myself, it could be a mistake. I was kind of surprised about it. So I said, let me start writing them down. But they didn't call on the cell phone. I wonder why, huh? Because they know that that's a violation. Harassing somebody on the cell phone using that auto dialer. You're going to say that we gave permission? No. I don't think that permission counted. Because they combined it with an offer. It wasn't separate. I think it's supposed to be separate. When you give permission, that's supposed to be done either by them, or if they hired a company, to make those calls, to do that, they're supposed to sign authorizing them to make the calls. And if you don't want to do it, you could rescind it if you okayed it. I don't think it's valid. I'm not sure. I have the lawyer. That's what you have a lawyer for. He'll know, but if you have to tell him that information. Because remember, they're calling about an account that's not in my name. Because we have different names. And different information and all. And I'm not, like I always say, I'm not a joint card holder. I'm not a co-signer. And we're not legally married. So I don't know what they think they're doing here. So these calls started now. I must have got over 80 calls in only maybe 2 or 3 weeks. So I let it go. I wanted to see how far it was going to go. Contacted the lawyer. He said he'll reach out and he'll stop the calls. Took a little while, but he did. I knew he would. Of course, with litigation, and they're doing that, I don't understand that. Well, they're trying to retaliate against me because I put the complaint in? I mean, even though they didn't know, if they didn't know Maria is deceased, so it would still be directed to her, either way. A violation is a violation. It doesn't mean because the authorized user is getting the calls or the cardholder is. It's a violation. I mean, they have to know it's a violation. Because why do they want to make the calls? They ask permission. Why do they have to ask permission? Why? Because if they don't, they're in violation of the law. And another thing I noticed, I was looking at the statement. This piece that you mail back, that slip, on the back of it's got change of address. And on the very bottom, it's got the phone number. If you have to change your phone number. And you know what it says? It's got the work number and the cell. And then right under it, it says, you're giving us permission to contact you using an auto dialer and, and make text messages. So you're when you put them numbers, you're okay in that. They put work number because they're not supposed to call you at work, so they want the work number and the cell number. See, they even have that on the statement, and even that might be wrong because that's Merrick Bank's statement to the consumer. But what happens if they have a provider, like I said, making the calls? You didn't okay the provider, you okayed Merrick Bank. I don't know how technical that is. The lawyer knows all about it. I don't know if I got one litigation in now because of all those calls. Now I don't know if it's going to be another case because of these over 80 calls that I just got in January. Or is he going to put it to the other case somehow? I don't know. But I'm not worried about that. Have a good lawyer. He takes care of all that. I'm going to give you his name. His name is Paul Mankin. Mankin. And his toll-free number is 800-219-3577. That's 800-219-3577. That's a free consultation, no obligation. You don't have to pay him, no matter what. And if he gets you any money, he doesn't take a percentage either. So you really have nothing to lose to give him a call if you're having problems. That's why I keep endorsing him and with these testimonials because I appreciate all the help that he's given me. And he's still giving me help. And I wished I could pay him because he does a good job and he knows the laws. Now, every case is different, of course. This one's different because now I'm dealing with the cardholder's passed away. And that debt is sort of, I don't know how you could call it. I guess you could say it's uncollectible. Because there's no way they're going to be able to collect it. There's no estate or nothing. Maybe they don't know that. They're still going to try. Well, now they got a litigation against them besides. They may end up paying more than what's owed. Maybe costing them more. That's the way they want to do it, you know. I don't think they get enough people, you know, that do take litigation against them. And that's why they, whatever they have to pay out, you know, they pay it. So that's the cost of doing business. But I think a lot of people had cases and didn't know it, and they just put up with it, you know, whatever they had to do. But you don't have to. I just wonder how many people, you know, had the same problem with all these calls, and they just didn't do nothing. I guess they didn't realize they could, you know. That's why I'm doing all this. I'm trying to bring it to the attention of everybody that listens to the video that I've been making. I made a lot of them. You know, I don't say I'm really bad-mouthing them. In a sense, I am. Like I'm venting my anger, because I really got ticked off. You know, it's bad enough they called me like they did on both phones. But then it started back up in January again, and then another 80 calls, over 80. And if I wouldn't have, you know, contacted a lawyer, would have probably be still calling me now. I wouldn't be able to do this video. The phone would be ringing probably. So I want you to keep it all in mind, you know. Now, it doesn't mean, I'm just saying Merrick Bank because that's the one I'm having problems with. This goes for any bank. A lot of them do the unethical tactics, and they got to be made accountable. That's all there is to it, you know. It's tough, you know, to go through this. I've gone through it for many years. I'm in my 70s, and Merrick Bank's been in business over 20 years. I got much more experience than they do with credit. So I don't think you have to tolerate it. Now, with these cases that I had, you know, when Marie passed away, I started getting a lot of calls, you know, after the first month. And I wrote them all down. It was a lot. You know, I should have had, you know, a separate sheet for each bank, but I didn't. But I still had the cell phone and the landline. Now, these banks all have different tactics, you know. One was calling on the landline, and they're not even putting their name, and they're putting all different numbers that aren't even connected numbers. So that's sort of a violation. On the landline, they're supposed to display their name of the company and one of their phone numbers. Merrick Bank does that. See, they know the laws. That proves it. I think they're using 6 numbers, you know, when they're calling. 6 different numbers. And all the numbers go back to the call center. The same thing. So they're all good. See, on the cell phone, I think part of this problem is with this auto dialing and all. Because when they call you on the cell phone, I know on the one I have, I've had it for a while, their number comes up. Now, it might not have a state or anything. I think on an 800 number, it might not. But usually what a number will come up, it'll say Pennsylvania, New York, whatever. But so what I do was, I put it in the contacts. So I waited the first, like, week or so, and I start putting the numbers in my cell phone. Like the number they called, I put it in the contacts, and I put Merrick Bank. So they kept calling on the cell phone. When the numbers came up, it said Merrick Bank, so I knew it. Because they were the mostly ones that were calling. So when I did the phone log, it was a little bit easier. Because they were like calling 4 times a day. Now, when they called in November 2019, they were calling on Sunday, every day. Different pattern, because they were calling with 2 numbers, you know, in the same time. One day I just noticed it. I think it was 5 times on the landline and 2 times on the cell phone in one day. That means all day long the phone was ringing. The morning, afternoon, evening. Now, that's not harassment. That's not annoying calls. Because I know in the litigation that the lawyer did, I noticed it because he sent me a copy of it. He lists some of the calls, you know, as an example. You know how close together they were? That's why it's important to keep the phone log. Because when they check that, you know, the lawyers, Merrick Bank lawyers, they see that they can check the list and see that they match up. So they know that you have proof that they call. I mean, it can be checked out through the phone company and all that, but it's important that you have all that. So if you're not doing it, do it, because then you can see if you are getting the calls like right now. Start doing that right away, and then you can call this lawyer, and he can help you. Because I know most people, if you can't pay, you can't pay. I know I can pay, and all the calls is not going to make me pay. So that's it. I stopped paying. So on this account, it doesn't matter. It's going to be uncollectible regardless. But if this was another account, like some of the other ones I had, I stopped paying. So that means from that point on, the statute of limitations kick in. In Pennsylvania, it's 4 years. So that means after 4 years, from that last payment, that account's legally forgiven. And nobody can collect it, and you don't owe it. So make sure you find out the statute of limitations in your state. So you know. Some states it might be less than 4, it might be more than 4. But you need to know that. And, you can make arrangements. I mean, if you can't pay now, maybe you can pay a little later. And you could, if you think you can pay afterwards, say you straighten your affairs out, you get some money, you say, well, I only have a few accounts, I want to pay them. Well, you can make arrangement with them then, even if they wrote it off. If you want to pay the bank, you could still pay the bank. If you don't want to pay the debt collector, I wouldn't pay a debt collector, nothing. If they're calling about a bill that's written off and say it's not past the statute of limitations yet, well, I would contact the creditor. You can work it out with them and make a deal and just pay them. And they can mark it paid, and they can go in and correct your credit report. Because it's going to be on the credit for 7 years. That's why it's not good to stop paying and start to pay, because that's all going to go on there. It's not going to look good. It's going to look worse. Because if you've been paying, like I've been paying our bills for over 8 years. So we had a good payment record. And that's what brings up the credit score and all. Payments. Now it's all messed up now. It doesn't matter to Marie because she passed away. But in my case, this is the only credit card left was this Merrick Bank. And I figure I'm only going to keep paying it because, like I said, it's from the last payment. Well, I can use my checking account. I have a debit card, so it's a MasterCard. I can use it, to buy things and all. At least I won't owe the money. So I hope all this is being helpful to somebody out there. I keep doing this because I want to keep it fresh, I don't want to let it, be forgotten that easy. Now, if my lawyer says that I shouldn't, to stop this, I will. I told him. If he tells me, Frank, don't be going on social media anymore, I will do it. Because it's up to him. He knows about it. When I make these videos, I share it with him so he knows. So I think if everybody pays attention to what I'm saying, it's got to help somebody. I mean, because every time I do this video, I'm sure different people view it. And I appreciate it, Because I want to help people, That's my whole purpose of this, because like I said, I've gone through it, and I do have experience. And you don't know. Like if you're paying your bills, you're not having a problem, and all of a sudden something happens. You're worrying about other things, not just to pay Merrick Bank or any bank. But this harassment, man, they really have it, set up like that. And they're doing it because they know that they're getting away with it. Because like these companies don't intervene, the Consumer Protection Bureau, the Federal Trade Commission, they don't intervene. They tell you if there's violations, but you need to get a lawyer to pursue it. So that's the way it's set up. Some of these laws are getting old now too. I think some of them need to be revised a little bit. But that's not up to me. So let's see now. I covered pretty much everything that I wanted to cover in this video. I cover it in all the videos, but I go on to different things. Like, I needed money because we combined everything together for over 40 years. Our income, whatever it was, from working, Social Security, whatever it was. And then I would pay the bills every month. So I was doing that over 40 years. Now Marie passed away. What do you think happened? I can't even get the survivor's benefit of $255 because they said we're not legally married. So, and they didn't even try to give me an alternative, you know. It's only $255. I talked to the woman I talked to. She said, well, you took a chance, and now you have to face the consequences. Well, took a chance on love. We didn't need a marriage license to stay together over 40 years. I told this lady, but she said, that's it. That's the way it is. She didn't give me, alternative, I found out myself, by doing research that she should have told me, but she didn't tell me. But if I get 2 letters written that says that we lived as man and wife, for our whole life, either a relative or a friend or somebody, and have them sign it and get it notarized, and I submit that I should get the $255. But why didn't she tell me? I don't know. I guess they have to know. They're all supposed to be educated with everything. I didn't know it at the time. I might call again and, go over that. So that proves the point here. It comes back to here. Because Merrick Bank can't come after me for this account because we're not legally married. I don't have a marriage license. And that proves it right there with Social Security. Because we didn't get married, so we took the monies that we were getting and combined it. But if we would have been legally married with Social Security, we would have got 1 check every month for both. That means instead of getting $1,600 a month, we might have only got 12. Now I would have gotten 12 now, and probably instead of 8 because of the way it's set up. Yeah, once you Social Security, imagine $255. That's all you're worth, huh? When you pass away. Social Security, I guess, with so many accounts that but they pay for you all them years. But remember, you worked and you paid into it. Now other people work and they're paying into it with Social Security. But that's all. Knowing that now they don't have to pay for Marie anymore, nothing. So you would think the survivor benefit, they could pay a little bit more, but that's not the way it is. So I just mentioned that now because it's tied in with this case, Because I don't think, with the lawyer that I have, as good as he is, and with all the information I gave him, because I read the litigation, it's like 4 or 5 pages. It's broken down in different sections, and it says that I'm being called for an account that's not in my name. That's not in my name. I'm an authorized user, but I'm authorized, but that is not in my name. So that's right there. That's a violation for doing that. And they know it because they can look at it. The bill comes in Marie's name. My name is not on the bill. So that's another part of this case. So I don't know the outcome of this case. It might take a few months because I think at the very last line it says that the plaintiff, that's me, I request a jury trial. Sure, I do. I would like a jury trial. But the chances are they won't want to do it. Because they're not going to do it whether I win or lose. I don't even know if I'd have to go, but I would like to go. I would like to be able to testify and tell these bigwigs or whoever they are, their lawyers or what, how bad that is being harassed like that. Annoying in those calls like that. It's just too much, and back to those calls. I mean, they have it contrived, I know they have to program it because if it's a, auto dollar, some human has to do it. They probably change different settings or whatever they have, for that to work. But when they call, they don't leave a message. Landline or cell phone, no messages at all, nothing. I have never got a call from any one of those people, a live person, nope. Because they want you to call them. That's why they put all the numbers. That's why it goes to the call center. That way, those are different numbers, so whatever number you call, it goes to a different customer care representative. I know, because I called him. I had to make one call because the calls were getting too much. And I wanted to let them know, see what they were going to do. So I called. I did it on video. It's on one of the videos. So if you look up harassing phone calls, on YouTube, most of all my videos will come up. And one of them, I made a call to Merrick Bank. And I recorded just like I'm recording now. I had the phone and everything. I dialed it and all. And when I dialed it, another robot came on, and it says, this call is being recorded for quality assurance. So that means if I didn't want it to be recorded, again, I could have hung up. If I didn't want to be recorded. I want to be recorded. I want him to hear what I have to say. So then it went to the next representative, and she answered it right away. And how can I help you? And I said, I'm letting you know that this is being recorded for quality assurance. He said, well, I don't agree. I said, well, it's up to you. And then she changed her mind. She asked me the information. I gave it to her. And I said, the cardholder has been deceased. She says, well, it's not here. I said, well, I have litigation. I have a lawyer and all. And I'm an authorized user. So she puts me on hold. And, some music went on. The music they have. It's like, I guess it's, to me, it's not music that I would like. It's like a little too loud. And it's not funny music, So she came right back pretty quick. She must have went to a supervisor. She don't know what to do, huh? She wasn't too happy about it. She wasn't friendly. So she tells me, well, you're going to need a death certificate. You can either email it or make a copy and mail it to us. I said, well, I'm not giving you a death certificate. I got to check with my lawyer because there's a case pending. He may not want me to do that. He said, okay. Then I said, you're asking for a death certificate. You're not giving me condolences. You're not saying you're sorry for my loss. What, are you sorry for Merrick Bank's loss? They care about the money. They don't care about somebody's loved one. He said, oh, no. The woman says, no, they don't care about the money. Well, then how come they're calling me like this and all and everybody for the money? So she said, anything else? I said, no. And that was it. She hung up. I hung up. So I did that. I didn't want to, I try to control myself. But these are the things that, go on. I said, mostly it's the whole thing is about the calls. Because they would have been calling me in November of 2019, and it stopped. Okay, so I let it go. But when it started in January, that really ticked me off. That's why I've been doing this all in January and now in February. All these videos. I'm doing it because, and these are, some of them I repeated it. But lately I've been doing new ones all the time. But I'm saying about the same thing. I might say it in a different way. I'm trying to reach as many people as I can. And by keeping doing this, I'm getting to more people than I would. If I just did it once, somebody saw it, somebody didn't. I'm sure every time I put this on, somebody else sees it that didn't see it. I mean, there's going to be a description too. I usually go over it in the description too. So you could actually, either, if this is too long, might just read the description and listen to the video while you're reading the description. Because I'm going to have my information, my email, and the lawyer's address and everything. Now, back to the lawyer. He is in San Diego, California. And I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, I've been dealing with him with no problem. For the cases I had, I don't think it really matters because the laws cover all the states. It's the same law. It's not a different law in Pennsylvania than California. And remember, all those credit card companies, they have accounts all over. So I don't think that's going to matter. The only difference is, like, he can do it by email. Any contract you have to sign, you can sign it and then, send it back. But in case you're not set up like that, you don't have the app for that or whatever, well, you can just do it by mail. You send me stuff by mail and sign it and send it back. Doesn't take that long. Because from one of the accounts, Like I had accounts in my name and Marie wasn't on it, and Marie had accounts that I wasn't on it. But the one account I had, well, I had it for, I know, over 8 years. I had 3 different accounts, but it was from the same bank. They totaled like $3,000. And they were calling on the cell phone, and they were calling me. It's one of the banks that I know he deals with. It took a few months and all, with the litigation and all. So he contacted me, so we made a settlement. And they're going to mark your 3 accounts paid. And they're going to pay my legal fees. And they're also going to pay the court costs. And no more calls, and I got some money out of it. So he sent me the check. It was actually 2 checks from another account. So he got the money, and then he wrote me a check. He sent them to me. One of them I had to sign before the check. I could get the check. I signed it, and I got it notarized and sent it back to him. Every bank might have a little different policy with that, to verify that you got it. So that's pretty much it. So I hope this was helping somebody out there. Not just doing this. I spend my time on this. I don't mind. I'm using this disguise. So I kind of like it, Because, because I feel like I'm not invisible. Or they wouldn't be able to collect it from me. I wished I was invisible. I'd go there to Merrick Bank's headquarters. And I'd go in there and I'd go into where they have the equipment or whoever's doing this, all these calls. And I would change the time. I would change it from AM to PM. Can you imagine what would happen if they ever made that mistake? So instead of calling you at 7 PM, they'd be calling you at 7 AM. Instead of at 10 AM, they'd be calling you at 10 PM. Can you imagine what would happen? If that mistake ever happened, they'd be in a lot of trouble. Even if there was a glitch or something, they would be, because they're not supposed to call you before 8 AM or after 9 PM. Can you imagine? The cases and all, because that's what it is, these cases. The lawyers are out there. There's plenty of them that do it. They specialize in this. And it's important that you avail yourself of the service. Because that way you can, I think the more litigation that they have against them, these banks, Merrick Bank and all the banks that use these unethical tactics, they would be looking to change this a little bit, Because like I said before, they don't get enough people that's fighting it, So they're getting away with it. Like in this case that I have, it's a different one. It's a shame, that I have to go through this, I'm suffering from emotional distress and economic hardship as it is. But at least I can voice my opinion, Because as this goes on, whatever happens with this, this case that I have, I'll make sure I, let everybody know, because, it might help you, because it just shows you what can be done. It'll be a good example, So back to this one more time about this account that I have. And that account is when Marie passed away, that's it. That account is considered uncollectible. They're supposed to discard it. I don't know what they do, write it off. They won't be able to do much with it. But they're going to try to collect it anyway, huh? I mean, now they know that I'm the one that's responsible right now, only because I have a litigation against them. But I'm not responsible for that debt. So I don't know what they're going to do, but we'll find out. This continues on, So I'm doing this because I want to keep it fresh in my mind also, what's going on here. I have some other things going on. I contacted the Pennsylvania Attorney General. And I told them what happened and all. And they're investigating it. And I got a letter back from them, and said they're going to give Merrick Bank 21 days to respond, to what, the allegations that I made. I already have an attorney, so I'm already took care of that to begin with. But see what you can do? I can put the pressure on Merrick Bank. They may not like it, but let them know that you just can't do that. Anybody out there, you can contact the Attorney General in your state. Just write a letter like I did. I put all the calls that they made and everything. And now I have a person I can contact, an agent there and all. So you can do the same thing. And like the Consumer Protection Bureau, you can put a complaint in. You can put it in the Federal Trade Commission, all that. Because they keep track of all those complaints. And most of the complaints they get is for these calls. So, just keep it in mind if you have the time to do this, Because I know there's got to be a lot of reasons why people don't pay. Like that offer they gave. They should consider doing them offers. Marie mentioned it. They should consider doing like a triple the credit line. Maybe they did, I don't know. I know double the credit line. They ought to think of a triple credit line. They could do it different. They could give you $400, and you make 7 payments, they give you another $400. You make another 7 payments, they give you another $400. So they would get 14 payments, but they would only be giving you $1,200. So now if 14 payments, what does that mean? That's over a year. That means that those accounts, they're not going to be late, because the people are going to pay those unless something really happens, of course. There's an emergency or something they can't pay, but those accounts, they ought to think doing that. They would have all those accounts, they're making all that money, they would be getting at least 14 payments, and still it would only owe them $1,200. Look at the money they'd be making on those accounts. And it definitely would stop at least all those accounts from being on the late list. But I don't want to give them no ideas, because they're not paying me for that. So that's up to them, but I'm just saying there's a ways they could kind of get around it a little bit. That would stop a lot of things. But they just want to make these calls. That's it. To do that, I say circumventing the system, They know those laws, and they probably have people in a legal team there, all the different departments that work on that, And like I said, they probably have studied it and see that, well, for the few, lawsuits they get, well, they're making money on all those calls. You mean people are paying because of those calls? You mean it's going to make people pay because they want to stop the calls? You got to pay them to stop the calls? You're already going to mess up your credit, by not paying them unless you work it out. And I say, be careful making any deals. You should always go to a lawyer to advise you, So again, I'll give you the lawyer I use. He's very good. I endorse him a lot, and I appreciate everything. Now, his name is Paul Mankin, Mankin, and his number is toll-free, 800-219-3577. That's 800-219-3577. So why don't you just give him a call when you get a chance? He may answer the phone. He's got a secretary and all. Remember, there's a time difference, though. Remember, he's in San Diego. So in case you call after hours, you'll just leave a message and he'll get right back to you. So I think I'm going to close this off right now. And I'll be making different videos. I'm sure how many I've made now with this invisible man gimmick. Well, hope you enjoyed everything. You learned something from it. And have a great day.